remains of 14 soldiers who were killed in the fighting in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo late last month have finally returned home. The troops lost their lives at the hands of the M23 rebels while fighting in the Goma region of the Democratic Republic of Congo. These soldiers were part of Southern African Development Community Mission in Democratic, which aims to help restore peace, security and stability in Republic of Congo. Some members of parliament are calling for these troops, Themba Madlopha, to come back home.
What a story. Shrouded in controversy. In fact, there are lots of underlying factors here.
Yes.
Yes, peace mission is an element of political stability all over the world, emanating from the United Nations peace missions forces that are spread all over the world, mainly to ensure that communities have got peace and stability. But then the rest behind, someone that one can call, there's a lot happening behind that good-looking objective, peacekeeping thing. A lot of things are happening, and all those things are happening, one can say, come from greed. There's a lot of greed that has penetrated this so-called peace mission all over the world. Now, coming back to the DRC, it's a touching factor.
Yes.
To see our young folk, who have a bright future, who look forward, who have got ambitions and dreams, being sent to what one could call slaughter missions. Let me present maybe the two sides of this peace mission. On one side, it is something good. It's something very beneficial to go on a peace mission campaign where there's no war activity. Because it benefits the young guys. To go abroad, establish themselves, and get financial gains in a peaceful atmosphere. It's a different story when this happens in a complex, active war zone, which is a complex terrain altogether, like the Democratic Republic of Congo. The DRC is plunged deep into a war crisis, which comes from different backgrounds of the Rwanda genocide spilling over to the DRC, the Hutu-Tutsi issue. It's a long story. But then underlying the DRC crisis is the rich region of Eastern DRC. The Kivu region, north and south, but on the eastern side.
Are we keeping peace there, or are we protecting someone's interests?
I think there are interests there. Peace is just a smoke screen. Peace mission is a smoke screen, and on top of that, even if you remove the rich mineral resources that are in that region, hence even Kigali is involved in supporting the March 23 movement, the M23 rebels, who are promoting the interests of Kigali is also interested in that region. There are trade connotations, there are trade elements in the whole thing. So you start wondering, what's the peace? Now, you cannot take away some of the guys from South African leadership who might have vested interests in that region. I suspect they are. But then leave that alone. If we have to fulfill the mandates of the SADC as we are part of the 16-member SADC.
Yes.
You have to fulfill that and honor the policies and principles of the SADC by sending our troops for this mission.
Yeah.
Then another question comes up. Are our guys well equipped? We live in a highly technological time now. We live in the times of drones and sophisticated, what you call resources. Are we equipped enough? Are our soldiers equipped enough technologically, in technological advancement to can fit in that? Are they well armed? Are they?
The rumors that the guys don't have a lot of equipment
I think
to fight back.
They're under-resourced. That's a very complex area there. I mean, those guys, the M23 are highly advanced, with armament. They're well advanced. And then we, this side, have a fledgling and not so well solid and not so well grounded a defense ministry. It's I don't think we have a well-grounded defense ministry that can be, in a position to ensure that our troops in the DRC are well looked after, are well trained, are well armed, have got enough resources. Look, South Africa has got one of the most sophisticated air resources, like the Gripen, or the Gripen helicopter and the Roy Falk. Those are highly sophisticated aircraft, helicopters in the whole African, in the whole SADC region. But I think they need servicing. There's no money to service them. I think they're grounded now. They can't fly. And that's a highly sophisticated machinery that South Africa has, that is it's boasting of. It's the kind of helicopter that was used during the storms in Mozambique, when those women were stuck in the trees, and that helicopter can go down and go into a hole. But it's grounded. So that's my take. I think if we have to honor the policies and principles of SADC, but we also have to make sure that we are in the right space to can give our soldiers what they deserve. Those young men.
I think our government will come up with.
I think they will come up with something. Now that we are in a GNU, maybe. But then we need the proper defense. I'm also baffled how a former Minister of Education can be in a position above a real soldier. General Holomisa. I mean, that man is a decorated army soldier, army officer.
That's true. That's true.
Highly decorated. But he becomes deputy. That one I'm baffled. I just can't understand. Enough for that. Maybe.
Maybe
let's hope something will come. We'll find peace. Thank you.
Maybe our families find peace and strength.
And then once they just to add that to our musicality, when those soldiers were brought back, were repatriated to South Africa, it was a very somber moment, very somber, very touching.
I was watching it.
But then, our government, I'm coming to music, the core business of today, choral music in particular. It's a powerful tool. I would have thought, or I would have laughed, that when those soldiers were brought back home, there could be a highly powered choral reception by men. And by men, I mean a choir like Cenestra male choir with international experience. Imagine that choir standing at the Waterkloof base, and those soldiers are taken out of the helicopter. There's a guard of honor of troops. Then the male choir against a background of drums, and they belt out the song, the soldiers' chorus. Glory and to the bed of old, atmosphere.
That will make a lot of sense.
Atmosphere. Or singing comrades in arms.
Yes.
La, 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 and the atmosphere.
Yes.
By a well-trained choir like the Cenestra male choir with international experience, standing there with those soldiers giving the carol, and then at that moment, the families this would go directly into their hearts and souls, and the souls of the nation.
Yes.
So in other words, here I'm saying, we should take choral music seriously.
Yes.
We should take the power of song seriously.
Yes. We're coming there.
We're coming there. All right. Thank you very much. I just wanted to link it with this topic that we're discussing about this.
Yes. Welcome to Grand Piano.
Thank you. What a welcome. What a welcome.
Your number one podcast in Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, share on our channel, and also you can write your comments on our comment section so that we can improve where you think we can improve. We've been trying to get him to our studios 2024, but he said, see, I don't have time now. Immediately when I get time, I would love to come to your studios. I'm talking about a headmaster, music director, choral trainer, composer, adjudicator, father, uncle, grandfather.
Exactly.
Mr. Themba Madlopha.
All those are
welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Mr. Madlopha, one thing I want to ask you. What is that one thing that people think, that you think yourself we don't know about you?
I think what you don't know about me, or people don't know about me,
Yes.
is that I was shaped and molded at a very early age within the home scenario.
Yes.
Or within the home space. When I was about 9 years old, I think 8, 9 years old, in the very early stages of my life, my home was filled with music. Not only my home, even my immediate surroundings, that is the environment, the nearby schools.
Yes.
I was staying in the vicinity of very powerful schools in music.
Yes.
Now, there was a connection from home to those surroundings, and very influential surroundings. Those are things that people don't know. My brother was a well-trained, a gifted musician. He was a conductor himself. He was a tenor singer himself. Themba Madlopha.
Yes.
So he used to play music on those old radios, the vinyl records. Most music that he played, about Mario Lanza, about Jim Reeves, one great tenor that many people don't know about, Kenneth McKellar. Wow, that was my greatest influence.
Yes.
And then, of course, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. My house, the small dining room at home, was filled with sounds of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir every Sunday morning before we go to church.
Yes.
Hallelujah, amen, amen, hallelujah. I listened to that music when I was a tiny little boy. Now, my brother would go on to conduct, have a baton, stand in front of the radio and conduct, and I was crouched beneath his feet there and watching him go through the paces as if there was a full-fledged choir in front of him. And then, who were the influences immediately outside my home? Professor Mzilikazi Khumalo was a headmaster in that region, in the school next to my home. And in the primary school, all those schools were in one yard. Lower primary, higher primary, and then in the middle, the secondary, you complete there in the old Brakpan location where I was born. Professor Mzilikazi Khumalo was a principal there.
Okay.
Professor Mzilikazi Khumalo was also a conductor of an adult teachers choir there, and my brother was singing there.
Yes.
And my brother would drag me to some rehearsals. During those days of Atasa, I was there as a young man, 9, 10, 11. He dragged me there. God knows what he thought.
What is Atasa?
Maybe he had seen something in me.
What is Atasa?
Yeah. Atasa is the old association, which was an umbrella body of the teacher competitions, which are the foundation of adult choirs, which are the foundation of the choral music that we see today. If you trace back all the music that we see today, choral, especially competitions, zonke ezi-ekmas, ezi-sakmas, ezi-ntontoni, ezi-tirompane zangoku, and you trace back to history. All comes back to what I call Atasa. Atasa was the mother body during the time when there were 9 provinces in the country. In fact, not 9, I'm lying. 9 provinces is an issue of now. When there were only 4 provinces, it was the Transvaal, it was the Cape, it was the Natal, and the Orange Free State. Those were the only. And it was only the Cape, no Western Cape, no Eastern Cape, only the Cape province. Cape province, Orange Free State, Natal, and Transvaal, where we are. Transvaal was one province from right of the bottom of the Vaal River up to the Limpopo. It was one province. So that province, yes, Transvaal, and we are going Kamna, yaibizwa ngokuthiwa yiTuwata, which means Transvaal United African Teachers Association. Abomzobe, babuya nabonke abo nabo Bheki Mthabela and all those guys in Natal, babuya kuNatu, which is the Natal African Teachers Union. And then you talk about my friends in the Free State. They belonged to OFSATA, which was the Orange Free State Teachers Association, African Teachers Association. And then apha ke KP elukudala ihlupha ke ibanzi kakhulu. Ezase-Eastern Cape zagcina zineyazo i-Union of Teachers eyayibizwa kuthiwa yi-P2, Port Elizabeth Teachers Union. Eyayidla kakhulu ngokudirectwa uTata Umkhonto loGqibo uSishiyangoku. He was the most prominent conductor with Port Elizabeth PE Teachers Union. Yes. And then kwaske kwakhona ne-Sistu.
Sister happy.
Siskai. Yakatata uMakhatho apho becula khona oPhatco Mafane. No Ntashinga, no Thembela Vokwana. Well, Thembela Vokwana must have been also Gula Mama Lo or Mama Spellman, Sheila Spellman. So there was Siskai Teachers Union. So all those unions of teachers, those were the breeding ground for the later adult choirs. Most adult choirs are the offspring of the teachers' choirs. Njengale nthetha ngayo yayise Brakpan iconductor uKhumu ubaba Professor Mzilikazi simazi kakhulu Khumani. Kwakuyi Brakpan Binoni ayidibanise eRembe teachers choir. But later, because those choirs as Batishere, they attracted even clerks from hospitals, nurses, and everybody. So
it was not only teachers.
Elite teachers choir, it was now too much. Then they removed the title teachers choir. Kwasala was by adult choir. But because it's so way to teachers choir, hlala ilogu so way to teachers choir. Lega Jablan Mazibu. Yes. But you now know you've got a picture now.
I've got a picture now.
The choirs today, especially adult scenario the companies, please know the breeding ground. The Atasa, which was a mother African Teachers Association of South Africa, where all these teachers association they were under.
Yes.
Province. Free State or Transvaal or Tonto basic banale final ata you abomzwandile Matthew sikebe ixesha labo thina ke I was a singing young man. We were born. I think that's a broad picture of what many people don't know about me. That's where I come from. That's why I say to people, if you don't talk about Brakpan, Autetang, Professor Mzilgas Kumar, stop. Don't talk. Because that's the most fundamental history, rich history, Yaga Professor Mkumalo. I know it all.
Professor.
Okay, I think this sharp.
Talking about teaching, I believe you started in late 80s to become a teacher.
I started in late 70s,
70s,
1978.
Yes. And that time, education had to be unequal because it was favoring a white. I don't know, that time you became a teacher.
Yes.
What influenced you to be a teacher?
That's a very good question again. And it still goes back to the earlier question. What is it that people don't know about me?
Yes.
Now, the influence started at home. My brother was a teacher.
Oh.
And he was not just a teacher, my goodness. He was a crack of a teacher. It's those teachers, you see, that's a teacher.
Yes.
He made an area in the East End which is called Wattville.
Okay.
If you mention his name in Wattville, every household in Wattville would stand up and say thanks to that man.
Yeah.
He was fire. And he was lovable.
Yes.
He was like a father, and he was. What he did at school, he also did at home to me.
Yes.
And I couldn't have not become a teacher with that kind of influence. And then also dragging me to such events as the rehearsals. I mean, how do you drag a 9, 10, 11-year-old to an adult choir rehearsal? Clearly, those older folk were very visionary.
Yes.
They did things subtly, but knowing what the outcome would be.
Yeah.
They had an intended purpose. They had a purpose. When we drag this young man there, he will ultimately become influenced.
Yeah.
And that's how I became who I am, because when I took up teaching, I felt I was walking into the boots of my brother. I want to look like him. I want to emulate him. I want to be like those that he introduced me to very, silently and indirectly, because I got to see the likes of great conductors like Abu Abiya Mahlase at a very, very, very young age. Professor Mzilgas Kumal, I got to know him at a very young age.
Yes.
I would also go to his rehearsals across the street. My home was just one block away from the secondary school. And Kumalo, when he rehearsed, he would take his choir out and put it out in the open air and do an open air rehearsal. And the sound would fill up a bigger portion of the small township or small location. The sound of Uponi Yashila Mengili Tandayo, all those songs, those sounds vibrated, and some of us were attracted to go and kneel down and listen. And when the bigger boys of the choir were chasing us away, Kumaro said, "But again, leave them, because some of them would be the conductors of tomorrow."
Yes.
Now, when I joined teaching, to come back to your topic, it was that influence.
Yes.
And guess what? When I started teaching, I was pulled and attracted to the very same school where my brother was a pillar.
Okay.
Lesabe Primary School, which is there, I think, in your topic.
Yes.
That's where my brother was teaching. And he was headhunted, by the way, as a teacher graduate from Wilberforce, the most prominent teacher training, which produced many big minds then, which was in the Val in Everton.
Yes.
My brother trained there. It was a hub of great minds. And when he completed, he was headhunted by the first principal of Lisabe, Mr. J.J. Sibego, came to my home. He was among the teachers that were headhunted. So when I came into that school, he had many years been teaching. I think he had left with 2 years before he not retired, when he jumped out of education to look for better pastures. But I was able to join the school and teach when he was there in 1978, which was his last year in that school. It was my first year. So I was able to be in the same staff as my brother who influenced me. Gee, that's one other thing that people don't know.
How was the teaching during that apartheid time?
During the apartheid time, teaching was channeled, sort of. The syllabi were packaged for the teachers. You had to teach us that.
Okay.
You had to teach according to a package that was designed by the elements of the apartheid regime. Yes. And that's why during those days there were inspectors. And inspectors was meant to say, go and make sure that they do what they are supposed to do.
Yes. Or inspectors are coming to check if you are on the right syllabus.
Well, they came. Inspectors were created under the guise of saying they had to make sure that everything is in order in the school. No. When we, the young guys, came into the system, especially I had a very, very wild mind. I was one of those who said, the inspectors are there to make sure that the apartheid packages of learning are adhered to.
Yes.
And I became one of the teachers who deviated slightly because, and rightfully so, while I was given English, at first I started teaching Afrikaans when I came into the school. But later on, I think the other senior teachers saw the potential in me. Then I was given English and history.
Yes.
Oh, by Moshindaba, they gave me history. My mind was polluted. I was one of, look, during my secondary school days, I was in that time, especially so there were those high school students as a SASO, South African Student Organization, the black consciousness movement, SASO then, Steve Biko and all those guys in the universities. So that voice of black power was filling up the townships. I was among those at lower levels that got contamination of that spirit of SASO, and the BP, Black People's Convention, the Steve Bigos and all that. I got contamination of that. I was influenced by that because I was always part of these bigger boys, say high school, metric, black power and all that. Black man was born free, but everywhere is in chains. We had those shirts with those hands that broke the chains. I got that influence. So when I got into teaching with that mind. But I could respect, I could adhere to the principles of the school. But when I got into the classroom, I was very innovative. I had come with styles of teaching in a manner that would influence the young guys. Which direction to take. And then I have one young man that I respect who is a teacher now, but he's getting closer to retirement. He was among the brilliant students that I started teaching when I was young. He's a powerful officer in SATU. Yeah, Ulinda Skosana was cool in the East End. If you ask that boy about me during my teaching days, he would tell you that I was something different.
Yes.
And making sure that the classroom was vibrant. That is in terms of van Ribik, that is act. I would imagine as act when you are young, and then I would talk about the interests of the Dutch in the minerals. Same story as Congo. It's an old age thing. This interest in our land.
Yeah.
So when I was teaching, I was like that, and then I was influenced by those politicians of the time. That's why mangene class in bengitaduta ma students amasuku man. So one South Africa, one land, my beautiful land, one and only South Africa. There I was fighting the fragmented country of Abu Buputatswana, Abu Transkei, Abu Siskai, all these homelands. I said, hey, all this is one beautiful South Africa, and then I would emphasize, our one and only country, beautiful South Africa. Trying to say, this is not a fragmented land, it's one land.
It's one land.
And I would say things like Buputa rubbish. I would say words like trans nonsense. My kids know me for that because I was influenced by guys like Dr. Tato Motara. I would say Buputa nonsense, Buputa rubbish.
Yes, because they wanted one South Africa.
They wanted one South Africa. So that was the spirit of me joining teaching, such that when Mandela was released in 1991,
yes,
and on February 11
February, yes.
Was it 91 or 90? 90, yes. Thank you. 19 on the 11th Feb 1990. Yes. I was about 10 years in the teaching profession. I came to school wearing a UDF t-shirt or something, which was not to be seen in public.
Yes.
Those struggle t-shirts, you wouldn't dare wear those. The defense forces, the security forces were looking for that. You are seen wearing that. You are not going to sleep at home for the next 2 to 3 or 6 months or whatever. Yeah. But I put that one on, and my principal said I should go home and look like a teacher. I refused. Instead, I went and sat in the staff room. And when it was break time, he thought he would see me, and then he saw me in the same t-shirt. After break, I went to teach in the class. And my students were like, I said, Mandela is out of jail. How can I be? That was the kind of me. That was the type of teacher. But I was very, very innovative.
Yes.
And such that one year I attracted BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. The journalists came there with cameras and everything, and then I don't know what information they got about me. They came to do an interview like you are doing now, and they went into the classroom and asked me to teach. And when they asked me to teach, I started drawing a timeline from the colonial times right up to the present.
Yes.
Up to when Mandela was released. And I had all the timelines. I knew all of them. It was 1948, apartheid laws were passed and all that. I had a timeline well calculated up to the time. Yeah. And when they interviewed me, asking me about the same question, there was a textbook I had in my hand. They said, "What?" I said, "This is a apartheid compilation." This is an apartheid program. And thereafter, my eyes were full of tears.
We're not afraid because we were still far from voting for.
I don't know. There was that thing burning in me, but I don't know. There was that thing burning in me to say, especially to the learners, I wanted to empower them. so that they don't get the wrong direction. I wanted them to, once presenting this package apartheid, but I would extract out of that or include things that were not in the textbook that I got outside from the material that I was exposed to. Because I would be amongst those big boys, or the black consciousness boys. So I was careful to sift material that I thought this would empower my students. I did that.
You know,
even my English. Well, my English, I was very, very. I used to say to my students, "There's only one English," and then Standard 5, I would use a textbook from Standard 10.
Yes.
And then take a few, if I'm teaching pronouns, I would take a few from that book and give them. And they wrote, and then when they passed, I said, "Do you know what you were writing? You were writing Standard 10 English." I said, "Yes, of course. It's one English."
Yes.
And then they were empowered to go to high school. They had the ground, solid ground. I always, when I compiled my tests, I would put all the books I even got books from white schools. I managed to creep into white schools and see what they were doing. And I said, "But these are the children of South Africa." And then I would get some teachers who would understand and provided me material from the white schools, and then I gave my children. That's me when I joined teaching. That was the teacher that I was.
You know what, Madlopha, then before, we used to have that period, we call it a guidance period in our schools. But what I noticed now, there's no guidance in our schools. As a result, you get kids that got bachelors, but they can't they can't get in a university.
You know what?
You see?
Go ahead.
And for me, I don't know, your take on this current education.
You know what? Uthetha uzawubeka ligama elithi guidance. You know, during our time when I was teaching history, there was a textbook of history which was divided into two parts.
Yes.
3/4 was history, and 1/4 was what we call civics.
Okay.
Civics would talk about civic things.
Okay.
Which included guidance.
Yeah.
Guidance was not totally a standalone subject. It was part of that. At the back of the history book, there was that little portion where you taught civic issues, and guidance was an element of that part. And I taught that. Some of my students will never forget. I would tell them, look, don't become what you cannot succeed to be in the future.
Yeah.
Or don't become what will not bring success to you in the future. Follow your abilities and your heart.
Yes.
And then I would say to them, all of you sitting here won't become teachers like myself. All of you sitting here, don't listen to your moms and grandmothers say, "I want you to become a doctor."
Yes.
Wanting to become a doctor cannot make you a doctor.
Exactly.
Because you are not a doctor. Exactly. There's no doctor in you. I said those things, and they would laugh. Quah, quah, quah. I said to them, look, amongst you, there are those with very gifted hands. They can make hair, people's hair, and style people. Yes. I would say that during the time. Most of you, they can take a small radio and dismantle it, completely dismantle it, and rejoin it back to square one. And during this time, there were those small black and white TVs. I said, some of you can dismantle that. Some of you can be able to join it and bring it back and plug it.
Yes.
And you would see some boys, you know. I said, some of you can go to an old car that's not moving and make it start and go. Now follow those directions so that the country is well balanced. That's what I said.
Yes.
Because if mina ngiwudokotela, I want to start and go to work, and the car goes, and they laugh. I said, you cannot take the doctor's stethoscope and then open the car and plug the stethoscope and get the car to start. You look around and look. I pointed one boy and look for Stephen. You heard that Stephen Lobo Naitlasin is a magic mechanic. Uhlala pipa. You look for him, and then he will touch your car, and you'll be, as a doctor, you'll be able to go to work and save your life. So some of you will be getting married and want to have a powerful wedding. You need somebody who will do the dresses for you and dress you up, and you'll have to go and look for Sibongile. Lobo funda na itlasini. But kwa Sibongile wenza marogo like, and then you could see those guys. So that's how I taught guidance. They must follow their hearts and follow their abilities and talents. And I dare say, and then I said, someone said, but if you're a doctor, don't expect to ask me to drop my pens, especially you girls. And they laugh. You say, I did. And today I'm faced with that situation. I've got doctor children, I've got nurses. Some of them told me. Here it is now, say. That's how life. You know what? Fascinating. Fascinating, my friend. You take me. That's why you brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah,
it's important. Guidance. What our learners need to be. You know what? The country is losing direction because there are areas of employment or areas that are not covered. Hence the the closing of colleges. Why were colleges closed? Why discourage learners from going to tertiary, I mean to technicons and TVET colleges, to say when you are there, you are less qualified than somebody who's at university. Because that would feed into the economic development of the country.
Yes.
And also avert the big problem of unemployment. I think you're right about guidance. Especially when the children come to standard 10. Because grade 10 rather. Grade 8 and 9, they're still trying to find themselves.
Yeah. But also standard guidance is grade 10.
Yeah, grade 10, they must decide.
Yes.
And that's where guidance should, in fact, grade 9, guidance should play properly. Should be very prominent. So that grade 9, whereas with life 10, history must start to speak. Then I think that's where the planning should be. And goes involved.
Yeah. And you became a headmaster. And that time, you took the school to greater heights.
Yeah, it's so. But I'll try and be brief. I became a deputy principal in 1999, and then I was a pillar of the school.
Yes.
Also, I kept the extracurricular very active, especially in music.
Yeah.
School choir, and I took off from my brother. He was also critical, serious conductor in the very same school. He made a mark. Then I had to live up to expectations because of the Themba Madlopha.
Yeah.
Then, fortunately, I did not fail. I did not fail him, or I did not let the Themba down. I took over, and it became very vibrant.
Yes.
There are a number of things that I introduced. I mean, when I started conducting the school, I introduced a lot of things. I remember one of these things was yayingavamanga ezikoleni le yokuthi, I think maybe Eastern Cape yaseyikhona, but I'm not sure. But in our area, a choir on stage would start flat on the stage.
Yes.
And then when you call that one, just a cluster of hills.
Yeah. There was no
terracing. There was no and there were no razors or risers as they call them. So there was a shop at the corner next to the school. So the lady, the owner of the shop, Mrs. Poppy, I was very close to. She was very close to my family as well. So I went to the shop and asked for cold drink crates.
Yeah.
I used 2 crates, 2 levels. Laying the small crate, the small bottles, and then the liter. So there would be kids standing on the stage floor, and then the second line would stand on those small crates. And then the last line was what a beautiful sight it was.
Yes.
I introduced that. People were worried at the music competitions when my kids came on stage carrying cold drinks crates. It was the audience. Our audiences in those days, they were not used to stuff.
Yes.
It would be like I came up with a lot of new stuff. There was what's the challenge? When those kids stood and they took the position, then I would indicate with a finger, say, then the whole hall, when I stayed there,
Yes.
There was a big wow, and then followed by
clapping hands.
Then many teachers copied that. Then later they used chairs, they used benches and all that to elevate the learners so that the choir even. But then when I became when I was still deputy principal, bese kale ilento or bese kuzawuqala ilento isaske.
Yes.
Yeah, in early 2000, in the year 2000.
Yes.
Then I was principal in the year 1999.
Yeah.
Isaske early 2001. I was among the first adjudicators, Saske. It's a say Tirisano.
Tirisano, yes.
So my school participated actively there. And I was a favorite of Mvandile Matthews. I would not be left out of his panel.
Yeah.
He made sure I was in the panel all the time.
Yes.
Even in the SACMA, I was always there. So I had a long legacy of adjudication.
Yes.
I had a long road that I had traveled already. So that enabled me. In musicality, it got me to travel. When I traveled, even in white schools, I was also invited to the I would go to the Drakensberg Boys Choir School in 1999 during the youth choir, National Youth Choir events in Drakensberg. I was learning. I was exposed to things.
Yes.
I was invited to the most prestigious school in Pietermaritzburg, the Hilton Boys Choir. I became a workshop. I workshopped those boys. I was exposed to the school and many other things. Then I became a principal who introduced unheard of things in the school.
Yes.
Even during Tirisano, the schools that wanted their soloists to be trained, they brought them. So I said, for me to go and out to you and leave the school is not good. You need help. Bring your learners. So there were combis, taxis, bringing children to the school. To a point that some of my children were jealous. So you're training people. But that's the route I took until somewhere around 2006 or 7, around there. I don't know, from nowhere I felt a need to start a chess club in the school. Gee, it's so funny because...
Tell me about the chess club.
You know what? It's as good as the what to call the computer program. Well, all schools had the computer program that were introduced by the department. There were even computer laboratories.
Yes.
But for some reason, or to some extent, those laboratories became white elephants. They were not used.
Yes,
or they were underused.
Exactly.
Then I felt, in order for that to be vibrant, let me empower my teachers. Most teachers were not exposed because now there was the encroachment of laptops that needed to be tapped in, and empower the teachers, so that in the long run, the administration of the school would improve. The control of the system, of the marks and all that would improve.
Yes.
Then I said, there's one thing. Let me, and in 2005 I became principal. When my previous principal left in June, I became acting principal 2005.
Yes.
And then in December 2005, I went to adjudicate in Bloemfontein in NCF. And then after NCF weekend, Monday, I was to go attend an interview for principalship.
Okay.
So I flew from Bloemfontein that year of the a cappella of more Italian salad and so on. I flew back with my wife. I flew back and then stayed about 3 hours at home, then dashed to the interview. And then I did not study any manual to say when you go to the interview, you must. I just go there with my head filled with all those experiences of my traveling. I said, this is what I would do for the school. This is what I would do. And I was pouring out on all the experiences I'd gathered in my musical travels.
Yes.
So I poured that out to say I would have this, and I'd already had many contacts, business contacts, high people, top people in society. So I would use them to fund the school and get this done.
Yes.
1 hour later, I was already in the township in some Chisanyam. I got a call to say, come and sign. I'll never forget that. And thanks to a man called Kenny Fortain.
Yes.
Kenny Fortain is somewhere in Cenestra. He was he was an education administrator at the time. He prevailed in that interview. He knows exactly what I said. And that is what I brought. Then chess is part of the innovations that I had in my mind. I'm not a chess player, but I just felt that if white schools can have this and that, why can't black schools don't have it? Because my mind says, when I stand in front of the assembly, I see those little faces. Behind those little faces, there are gifts that God had planted. And the only way of getting those gifts is to create opportunities.
Exactly.
That's where my man said, create as many opportunities as you can. Then I said, let me uplift or upgrade the computer program.
Yes.
Because it's dead. As prescribed by the department, it's not moving an inch, it's not productive. Then I said, I'm going to just upgrade that.
Yes.
Invigorate it, get it vibrant. I went to ESCOM and asked for laptops. They said, go and get them in our head office in Bloemfontein. I went to a taxi friend. He gave me a trailer.
Yes.
I put it on at the back of my buggy. Took one of my teacher friends, who was a teacher with me at the same school. 2 a.m. we're out of my place. To Bloemfontein.
Yes.
We came back with 30 laptops that were no longer in use, but they were good.
Yes.
I brought them to school. Then we started loading the laptop. We started loading the staff room.
Yes.
And then next step, I had to empower teachers.
Exactly.
Then I had to get research. I got another white man. I'll never forget him. I'll get his name now. Just forget what his name is.
Yeah.
And then he called me for a workshop. He'll offer his workshop to all the teachers.
Yes.
I got a venue from my friend who's owning a funeral parlor.
Yeah.
He's got offices.
Yes.
My staff, all of us went there on a holiday. They all went there. I used my money to get some connections. There was a shortage of connections. I went to the nearby macro and then got connections, bought them. Then we connected. Then we had a full day training. Some of those teachers are empowered to this day.
Yes.
But then the next thing was chess. So those were the three things in my school. It's computer program, because I thought those were skillings that I needed. And then chess for the kids is just something else. And choir. Those are the three C's in the school: computer, chess, choir.
Yes.
That's my golden legacy at Lesabe Primary School. And again, the very guy, I think is something Peacock. I'll get his name here. He also offered assistance in the chess program. Then suddenly I got sponsored by Carnival City. Then what can I do for you? I said, do the chess ground there. I don't want the boards, the one on the floor, because I'd seen it where I was traveling. Especially in those schools, those great schools I mentioned about Drakensberg. I said, I want it on the ground. And it was there. Perfect. I turned one man, was the Eastern Cape.
Yes.
Usiabulela Mali. That boy I adopted in 2011. I adopted him, and I think I posted his story just recently. During 2011, in fact 2010, 2011, a department created opportunities for students and created these programs, assistance teachers programs in the schools, in sports, in homeworks. There were about 4 categories ukuthi ba-employwe ezikoleni bancedisa ama-teachers ukuthi ama-teachers azofocasa kumsebenzi. There were homework supervisors, there were sport supervisors, heads. So there were quite a number of kids who were in the school bencedisa behola from the department. Now, that program ran well, but it ran, I think, for 2 years. 2011, the contract collapsed. Now, there was this boy, Usiabulela Mali, who was in the sports assistants. I was good, in fact, he was an all-rounder in sports. So I paid the program because because he was dedicated. Do you think because sports, because I like sports?
Yes.
He said, no, look, I can create a small fund for you. But instead, do you think you can do chess? What do you? You don't get out and but he said, I deserve yeah, typical of the Xhosa. Just give me the opportunity. And I gave him the opportunity. I don't know what he did, but he produced my best chess players from day one in 2012, 2013. Today, as we speak, he's among the best chess coaches in the country.
Wow.
Both black and white schools. If you mention his name amongst the top chess playing schools, they know him. In 2020, he produced the under 13 girls, South African champions from my school. Today, some of those girls are still champions even at high school. I've got pictures I took with him about 3 weeks ago. As a parade, a huge trophy, something like that size, exactly that size. I win. I'm sure those kids are still there. I know one of my kids went to Zambia and became a champion there. Today, that school is flowing with chess. But I'm going to use your platform because I'm out of the school. That's the legacy I'm proud of. It's the chess legacy. Computer is flowing in that school. Everybody's empowered. I still even went out to companies, big companies like Accenture in Sentin. there's a gentleman they called Uvukile Mngati.
Okay.
Yeah, whom I got used to because he had a teacher brother working at my school.
Oh, okay.
But he's a prominent guy in the corporate.
Yes.
He works for Accenture. Accenture, as you might know, is one of the biggest companies in the country, based in Sandton. I also tapped into him, and he gave me nice, light book, HP light book computers, about 6 to 8 of them.
Why are you not teaching there?
Once I was there in school, and I came back and distributed them to. So the school was highly empowered. We were among the first schools to capture marks. There were laptops, there were computers from ESCOM lining up the staff room. Each teacher would just go there and sit and do his duties and all that. That's the scenario I created and left. And I had a passion.
Yes.
I did that with passion. I liked to empower. And I had this drive to have young guys, to empower young guys.
Yes.
And they took me like a father.
Yeah.
When they saw me, they said, "Sir," I remember one said, "Sir, when I look at you, I don't see my principal. I see my father. When you send me to do this, and principal, that's how when I do it with passion."
Yes. Mr. Madlopha, when you look back, did you achieve what you wanted to achieve as an educator and a father to those kids? I'm asking this from where you started 1978 until the last day of school.
I did achieve. I did achieve. I mean, I even exposed the school, to one great human being, Mike Whitstock. You know who is Mike Whitstock?
No.
Mike Whitstock is the father of Princess Charlene of Monaco. He was part of that school. I brought him to that school. I think he donated something like 150,000 to that school. 50,000 on a yearly basis. Because there was a choir in the school.
Yes.
He invited the choir to come and perform at the horse racing. The father to Princess Charlene was attached to the horses. In fact, horses are his love.
Yes.
But then he made sure that Monaco is featured in the annual horse racing at Terfontein as a maiden. They call it maiden plate, as one of the races featured in the racing program. There was one dedicated to his daughter, who is the princess in Monaco, Princess Charlene. So my school was also invited to come and sing a national anthem and sing some 2 or 3 entertainment songs with the aim of empowering the school with 50,000. That happened for 3 years running consecutively. Even the Cenestra Mill Choir was invited also to come and perform there, sing the Monegasque. Monaco is, in French, is Monegasque anthem. So all those external factors I poured into the school to make sure. He also came to the school with hundreds pairs of shoes and donated them to the school. So the school was attached to. I also exposed to the school to the Round Table organization. There's that organization which runs programs. Support programs for communities, the Round Table. I brought that to the school. They brought things to the children to make children happy. Right now, every year, Round Table in September, it picks 7 boys to be taken. They don't go home for the rest of that holiday. They are on a road show of the Round Table where they are empowered with new clothes and taken to places where they wouldn't manage to be because we selected the boys against the background of their home backgrounds. So even today, I'm 3 years in retirement, but that program is still running. Up September, round table, iyafika phaa kwesesikolo, and I'm still friends with those guys.
Yes.
During COVID, they supported the school with sanitizer, big tanks of sanitizer, what to call of sanitizer.
Yes.
And that's still happening today. They featured my kids last year in a commercial year-round table, where some of my kids were featured, and then with the aim of providing the school with more laptops and computers. So my legacy is still running up to today.
Yes.
The only thing I'm concerned about, as you ask me that question, is the chess field. I had the synthetic grass, the artificial grass, and that. But now, because the person who had passion is no longer there,
not there.
So the care would not be the same.
Yes, exactly.
That has been ravished. But the chessboards, because they are concretized, they are still there. And in the grandstand, which I created because of my music travels, I saw in high schools when there's a netball ground or not, there will be nice grandstand, nice, beautiful. I picked that and brought it to the township and empowered one guy from the township. He looked at it, then he started collecting steel and made them and then covered. Oh, wonderful stuff.
Wow.
But now they are no longer in that state. I'm desperately looking for a good Samaritan who'd say, Themba Madlopha, we are prepared to upgrade your chess field at Lesabe Primary School.
Yes.
Because I even put that horse stable kind of fence. It's very atmospheric, it's stylish, so to speak.
Yes.
But it needs upgrading.
Exactly.
And then that whole field. And it's still hosting tournaments, mixed race tournaments of chess are still held in that school, and it empowers the school, because during those tournaments the school would prepare hot dogs, drive horses, and all that. During the tournament the school can fundraise. I think I achieved. Even academically, those kids signed Olympics, mathematics Olympics, were in the top 10. And I've got pictures where the father of Princess Charlene came to my office to congratulate me. He took a picture with those kids, maths and science. That's my golden legacy.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I'm still attached to the school. Through your medium, I wish I could reach out there. In the same way, I would like to reach out there with that plea. Soldiers song. I will talk about that later.
Yeah.